on is the insurance piece, which I cannot wrap my head around, especially being in the insurance industry. It makes me realize how important a part of the process that it actually is, and how there is a lot more that goes into it that first-time home buyers need to be privy to. We have a saying in our agency, it's not just secure the loan, secure the home. A lot of people have that assumption that insurance is a one-size-fits-all, and it's really not. So that's something we take very seriously in our agency, is making sure that we do that education piece. First-time home buyers, you do need your hand held. You've never done this before. There's so many parts of the process, your head's spinning. So it's very important that you have a professional behind you that can actually educate you on every step of the process. A lot of people, when it comes to insurance, they'll just go to their auto carrier, or they'll be sent to an agent where they just take little bits of information and send them a quote. If that's what your experience looks like, you should be scared, because there's so much more that you need to know, and so many more questions that need to be asked from the agent, and so many questions that you need to be asking yourself. That's why with us, it's very important as a broker, we have the luxury of being able to run through every carrier, ask all the hard questions, and get you the best product where you're still getting a good rate, but you're also properly protected. There are a lot of agents out there that are very price focused, which sounds like a good thing, because essentially people hear low price, that's it. But because insurance is not a one size fits all, you don't want somebody that's trying to win the deal on a low price. You want somebody that is taking into consideration you as an individual and this property, and making sure that you're placed with the right carrier for the best rate with the proper coverage. A lot of the home insurance claims that are common homeowner claims are actually not covered on your standard homeowner's policy unless you add that coverage to the policy. So be wary. You don't want to work with an insurance salesperson. You want to work with an insurance professional. You want to work with a really good team, like Tanya said prior. It's important that you have a good team behind you that has a well-oiled machine function or the process. I work closely with Tanya. She knows that she's not just sending me the information to send her back a quote to the client. She's connecting me with the client. She knows the importance of that. She knows the importance of getting to the nitty-gritty, getting all of that information. There are a lot of eligibility factors. There's an oil tank, that's an eligibility factor, especially if it's below ground, even if it's out of use. And there's even coverage options for the tank as well if they're interested in having it protected. Ineligible dog breeds, you can have a pit bull and it's not eligible with most carriers, and you don't tell the insurance company about it. You have a claim, it's not covered because they don't accept pit bulls. We need to know all of those things on the front end, and we ask all of those questions on the front end to make sure that we're placing you with the right carrier. Also, a lot of these coverages people are assuming are covered are like water backup, sewers, and drains. People are shocked when I tell them that that's not covered on their policy, and it's actually the most common homeowner loss. Mm-hmm. Service line coverage, I know Tanya had an experience with that. It wasn't on the original policy. We wrote the insurance, we put the service line coverage, had a service line claim shortly after.
Thank God, it was only $8, right? It was something crazy.
It's very small endorsement. Like we have that saying that cheap insurance is sometimes the most expensive insurance you can buy, because you don't want to add that $30 endorsement. You don't want to add that $90 endorsement. You want to pay a little bit less by having that little bit of a higher deductible. But if you think about it, they are little premiums. They do add up a little bit more, but in the long run, it's peace of mind. In the long run, one claim, it's saving you so much more. So you do always want to make sure that those things are taken into consideration, that you are properly protected. Like I said, when you work with a broker, you are going to get the best experience because there's a wider range of product. When you're going through a captive agent, if they don't have the product to accommodate you, they have to just offer you what they have, if they even can. With us, we always make sure that we do ask the hard questions, that we do find out what does your exact situation look like, and that we get it accommodated properly. Especially when it comes to your portfolio. A lot of people, they go to their auto carrier, and their auto carrier has them with state minimum coverage. They're taking very little information, and like their name, their date of birth, and their address, and they're sending back this low quote that has none of the endorsements on it that we always make sure to look out for. And the first time home buyers trusting this individual, they're taking the policy, they see a great rate, they go to place that first claim, it's missing. back to the auto part of that, your auto matters too. It's not better that the first time home buyer is going to their auto carrier to get their home coverage. It's actually better that that first time home buyer is going to a professional that is going to handle them properly for the first time ever, going into this next stage in their life and actually reassessing their auto with this new agent, not the other way around. Because your portfolio is something very important to keep a look at when you're in the home buying process, because you can have state minimum auto coverage. Now you own a home, you didn't own assets before. I don't recommend state minimum for anybody, but you don't own assets, it's not that big a deal. You're buying a home, you're buying this big asset, probably the biggest asset that you've obtained thus far. If you have state minimum coverage on your auto policy, you get into an accident, they exhaust their own limits, they come for yours, and you don't have sufficient limits on your policy, they're coming after your home or any of your assets or unearned wages. So it is very important that that is reassessed. Now that you're in the home buying process, you need to put your big boy panties on, you need to reassess your situation, and you need to know, what do my other insurances need to look like to accommodate my current situation right now? Also with auto, you need, if you want to qualify for an umbrella, I recommend every homeowner has an umbrella policy, which is an excess liability that extends to both your home and can extend to your auto as well. What most people don't know is that you can't even add an umbrella policy if you don't have the maximum limits on your auto insurance. So that's one thing that we take into consideration. At the end of the day, very low pressure situation, the client has the right to have whatever coverage limits they want, to add whatever products to properly protect them, but it's our job to educate them. From there, they can do whatever they want with it. So we don't go the price approach, we go the other way around, we go the coverage approach. But it's also very important that you don't just add a bunch of coverages and be like, here's your policy. No, that education piece is important. They need to know what they're covered for, how it covers them. I'm not gonna beef up a policy and be like, here, this is the best. I'm gonna beef up a policy and I'm gonna go through it and they're gonna know the price first, and I'm gonna say, this is what is making up this price. Here's the service line coverage for your lines that go underground. This is not covered unless you endorse it. Here's the equipment breakdown that covers all of your permanently installed home systems, like your central air, your furnace, your boiler, and it's not covered unless we have this endorsement, but it is included in your rate. Here's the water backup, you have the oil tank, here's the fuel tank liability. These are all of the things that I added to properly protect your personal situation. What changes do you want to make? Where do you want to go from there? What are you willing to sacrifice to bring that rate lower? I would say 9 out of 10 times, maybe 9.5 out of 10 times, when we break it down to our clients like that, they don't want to make a single change. It's very, very rare that a client will ever change coverage that I offer to them because they're able to make sense out of the rate. There are a lot of people that they want all the discounts in the world, you know what I mean? And we get there and I'm like, you can do that, you can increase this deductible, it's gonna go lower. You can remove this endorsement, it's gonna go lower. I do not recommend it. This is how it covers you. What one of those things are you willing to change? They're not willing to change anything because they see the value in it. And I think it is important on us as professionals to provide that education piece so they understand what makes up that rate and they understand what's behind it. Especially when it comes to keeping them as a client for life. You lose a client the same way that you earn them. If you won them by price, you're going to lose them to the next best price. If you do your job properly and you explain the value behind the policy and you win them on coverage and really good rate, you're not going to lose them to better coverage elsewhere because you gave them the best coverage off the bat. You made them understand it. And especially insurance is the one thing that is sticking with these people long after. You know what I mean? The mortgage will be there for quite a bit, but the insurance will even outlive that. And us as the agent, we're there every step of the way. You need advice on the policy. And I know me and Ivania were talking about it earlier. Like, agents do need to advise their clients more. It can't just be, here's a request, go to the carrier, get the request done. No, you need an agent on your side that you can actually bounce things off of, that you can get advice from, that when you go to remove that vehicle from your policy while it's still registered, they're advising that you wait until you relinquish the plates first. That can get you into some turmoil. If you have a good agent behind you, they're going to save you that trouble. So it is very important. Like I said, the team, when you have a good team behind you, it's just a smooth process. I know Tanya, as far as her, I'm like a smooth extension to her process. I know the loan requirements. I know what needs to be done. I know when there's DTI that we need to get it where it needs to be, and we need to educate them on how to coverage better later. But definitely, it is very important to have a good team behind you. And I do, honestly, I love what I do. It's important you go to somebody that loves what they do, because then they're going to take the best care of you. And if you guys have any questions, let me know.